Hello and welcome. This is the Business Brand Podcast, the podcast that shows off the positive impact that businesses have on their community. I'm your host, Brandon Truesdell with Beecher Media, and today we have Deon Fowler.
How's it going, everyone?
So what are your 2020 plans for the year?
You know, man, it's obviously it's to set the tone. I've already gotten my workout in, so that's I've checked that off the list, man. And it's to get it off to a great start, man. It's one day at a time, one foot in front of the other, man. It never changes.
And we'll get into that because you had quite an experience trying to do that Guinness World Record, right?
Certainly. Oh yeah.
Yeah, we'll get into that in a second because it takes some dedication to work out the way that you do to get to that point.
Oh yeah.
So I'll kind of introduce you a little bit. So you are a Louisiana native. So you're born and raised in Louisiana?
That is correct. Monroe, West Monroe area. It's not the smallest city, but it's a smaller city compared to a metropolitan city as in Dallas.
Okay. And you are also a former collegiate football player?
That is correct. I actually played football for University of Louisiana Lafayette Raging Cajuns, South Louisiana, and I transferred back home to finish my last 2 years at Grambling State Tigers.
Okay. And then you are also a former banker. And we'll get into this. I'll just continue down the line and then we can dive into that. So you're also a former banker. Everyone can tell that you're a passionate, determined, and driven entrepreneur. Soon to be dad, and I'm excited to talk about that as well. I'm sure you're excited too. And you own two businesses right now.
That is correct.
You are the owner and founder of Premier Mobile Billboards, which is a digital mobile billboard company. And you're also a certified life coach, which means that you help others bring out the best of themselves.
Correct.
Did you start off being a banker?
Yes. So right out of college, man, I was fortunate to be one of 8 college graduates selected into the first ever bankers program at BBVA. And man, I've always had a passion for finances because, again, coming from a family who didn't necessarily organize or manage their money properly, that was definitely a factor into why I got into banking and finances.
Yeah. Well, I've just, that whole journey in general just seems pretty interesting to me because you started off as a banker. You also owned a moving company, right?
Correct, yes.
So you moved into that industry, no pun intended. It was totally intended. So you started a moving company. Was it then that you started going into life coaching? No,
man. So I've always been that go-to person for advice in people's lives, man. Ever since I can remember, I've always been that friend that people, would call me up or text me, hey, I'm going through this. I need this advice, or I just need someone to talk to. I need some wisdom spoken into my life. And, fortunately I was always that person, man. Yeah. So getting into life coaching was an easy transition because I had already been doing it unofficially, my entire life.
So I'd like to kind of dive into that. So what was that transition like, moving from a moving company to your life coaching? Like, was it you're doing your moving company and all of a sudden you just dropped it all and you started doing life coaching, or how did that even transition happen?
So I'm a person who's big in just living fulfilled, living passionate, living on purpose. I started my moving company when I was a banker because I had a lot of business clients who would tell me all the great things that came with owning a business and all the perks, the possibilities, the options. So I took that leap of faith and started a moving company then, but I did it because I wanted ultimately autonomy of my time, autonomy of my future, autonomy of my career. So I didn't necessarily do it for the money. I did it because, again, I wanted control over my time. About 3-4 years into it, it started to take its toll on me because, again, I've always been a person who do stuff purposely from a fulfilling standpoint, and moving Obviously, as you know, owning a business is it's a grind. It's a day-to-day grind. And I had gotten to a point where we were doing, we were doing well, and I was looking for my exit point, and I started to connect the dots in my life. And again, coaching kept coming back. It's like, hey,
Mm-hmm.
this is something that I've always been doing unofficially. Now it's time to really dive into it deeper and just go head first.
Mm-hmm. So you did your moving company for about 3 years, is that correct? Or more or less?
A little over 3 years.
Mm-hmm. What was, when you're transitioning from a moving company, what did that transition look like? You just dived right in, you just quit altogether and you just went right into your life coaching, or what was that like?
So no, so actually, I put my moving company on the market for sale,
Oh, cool.
and I actually got an offer for it, but it wasn't what I was looking for. So at that point, I actually switched my business model to be more of a broker, middleman per se, where we just receive the moves and we distribute moves to other moving companies, which that freed my time up to focus more time on creating my coaching business, and that's how that got started.
Mm-hmm. What kind of stuff do you deal with in your coaching business?
Life coaching, man. So we live in a society where it seems like we're people are at an all-time high of having unhappiness. People are committing suicides at an all-time rate. People are more depressed at an all-time rate. I want to be that person who uplifts spirits. I want to be that person who you can find inspiration from. I want to be that person who, where you don't see any hope, you can get on the phone, you can call me, and I can give you that. Or you can look at my life and you can gain hope from what
Mm-hmm.
I'm doing.
No, I feel that. I mean, especially we just had the holidays come around, especially during like Christmas. For some people, it like a lot of stuff is going on in their life. You know, their business might be doing really well, and then they're doers. They're doing family get-togethers. They're hosting parties. They're doing their business. So that can be really stressful. And on the flip side, well, for some people, the holidays is when things ramp down, and so maybe they feel like, oh, I'm not doing as well as I could be. Maybe I feel like it's my fault. I don't know if you've really dealt with people like that, especially around the holidays. That was just something that I noticed. So I don't know what your experience is in that area.
So with the new year's rolling in, I'm pretty sure I'll get some requests dealing with those things. But
Mm-hmm.
yeah, that's it's life. It's everything that one deals with on their journey, on their life's journey, man. So we're all going to experience the ups, the downs. It's how you deal with them. It's who you have in your corner to help you deal with them when you are going through it.
What would you say? What would kind of be your advice when people are dealing with that? Maybe we could tackle if they're working super hard and maybe they need to figure out how to tone it down, or if they feel like they're not being fulfilled because things are ramping down for them. What would you kind of say to people like that on both sides?
So you really have to take a step back, man, and see the bigger picture. I like to ask people, why are you doing this? Most people don't even know why they're doing what they're doing, why they're working
Mm-hmm.
their 9 to 5, why they're owning their business. And if you don't know why you're doing something, you're pretty much on a hamster on the wheel, man. You're just going day to day. And where are you trying to go with this? A lot of people don't know where they're trying to go. And again, if you don't know where you're trying to go, any road will get you there, man. And you'll spend countless of hours dedicating to that business or to a certain hobby or whatever, and it's not
Mm-hmm.
bringing you any love, joy, or passion, man. So I would tell people, take a step back, ask yourself, why am I doing this, and where I'm trying to go with this, and what am I trying to get out of this.
What would you say to someone whose why is, oh, I just want to make a lot of money?
Hey, it's to each his own, but just know that it comes with there's a price to pay with every action that we make. From what I've seen, it usually doesn't end well. Again, I'm not the person to judge someone who does it strictly for money, but money from what I've seen, money is not a big enough why, because just the day-to-day grind, it's so hard, man. It has to be something stronger than just money, man. Because you can do it if it's just for money, you can do, there's a million ways to make money. You can do anything.
Mm-hmm.
When the going gets tough, money is not gonna keep you motivated.
I totally agree with you on that. I feel like if you're doing it for the money, then it just becomes a numbers game, only just a numbers game. And then, when you don't reach your goals, or even when you do reach your goals, it's just like, now what? I have all this stuff. What's that going to do for me?
Exactly.
I feel like a lot of people don't find fulfillment if it is just about the money. So what would you say is a passionate enough why to get up in the morning when you're not feeling good, to work out the way that you probably work out to get that record, which we're going to continue. We're going to get there. We're going to talk about that.
Man, so that's something I can't answer for anyone but myself.
Mm-hmm.
And for myself, it's knowing that, hey, from all that we know, we only get one shot at this thing called life, and I want to make the best of it, so that's my ultimate why. Just knowing that once I'm dead and gone, there's no redos. I can't go back and redo 2019. I can only put my best foot forward here, January 1st, 2020, man. So that's my why. It's living purposely. It's living intentionally. It's living with a passion that, hey, when all my deeds, good deeds, my work is done, I want to look back on my life. It's like, man, I really put my best foot forward. I really gave it my all, and I can have no regrets with that.
I personally was trying to figure out. I feel like finding your why is actually pretty difficult. I could be wrong. It might be like just such a easy thing for some people, and then it might be a little bit difficult to find their why for others. For me, I think I knew what my why was. I just wasn't able to really say it out loud and kind of like put it all together. But I think I'm catching on to why I do what I do, and hopefully kind of like me saying this kind of sparks some ideas in someone else. I just kind of like looked back at who I am in my DNA as a person. And as I always thought it was kind of a corny thing to talk about, but for me, it was really, I just wanted to do the right thing. Even as a kid, I don't know if I want to tell this story or not, but when I was even just like 5 or 6 years old, I did something. I don't really remember what I did, but I was being a bad kid for a second, and my mom was like, my mom and I had a heart-to-heart, and she said, one day you're going to be a teenager, Brandon, and you're going to be rebellious. And I started tearing up, and I'm like, Mom, I don't want to be a bad kid. I want to be a good son. And so going back to that story, that kind of sparked a whole thing where it was like, that's what I wanted to do. Even as a little kid, I wanted to be a good person. And so the reason why I want to get up in the morning is to help people also be good people, because when I think about it, there's your brand, and the main part of the main ingredients of a good brand is being authentic, being passionate about your why, and sharing that with other people. And it's also just being a good person. And so if I could help other businesses, like advertisement, we're going to get into that in a little bit too. For advertisement, a lot of people do these high pressure sales tactics. And I don't really like that, where it's like, you have to buy now or else, this opportunity will never pop up. They're doing it, so why don't you? Just kind of, I just think of it like that salesman that sticks their foot in the door. But if you have a strong brand and you have like good, honest marketing, then people buy from you because they want to, not because they feel pressured into it.
I definitely agree.
So that's kind of like my why of, I want to help businesses be authentic, be who they are, and just be the good person they want to be. So that's like the type of people that I want to work with.
I love it, man, and
Yeah.
I love how you know you're on the right path to living out your why, man. Because again, most people don't even have a clue. Most people can care less about their why, and again, that's perfectly fine if that's the way they want to conduct their lives or whatever. But there's so much more joy, fulfillment, and life when you know why you're doing something and who you're doing it for. And to just elaborate on my why, man, it's not only just because I understand that we get one ride here, but you know, I'm doing it for my parents, whatever. I want to bless them in ways that they've blessed me, you know. And obviously, I have a little daughter on the way, man. So that's a big component of it now.
I would say even if it is quote unquote about money, I personally think, yeah, that's not deep enough to motivate people. But if you're doing it, for example, for your family, that's a pretty good why. And when you're thinking of a brand, you know, you want to have a huge component is shared values. So I would say that I'm attracted to brands that have strong family values. And so if you are doing it for your kids, if you get up, you want to have a successful business, have a cash flow so your kids have a good life, you can instill that in your business and kind of share that with other people on why. And you're going to attract similar type people with those mindsets. So that's my whole spiel on that. But speaking of your new kid coming around, right?
Yes.
When did you realize that your wife was pregnant?
So, man, we realized this probably, I don't know, she was maybe 2 or 3 weeks. You know, she just sprung the news upon me. And
how was that? I want to hear the story. What was that like?
so we were in a bathroom, and I can't recall exactly what the words were, but it was something similar to, "Hey, I'm pregnant."
just plain and simple.
plain and simple. And I was like I paused for a second, like, wow, like it's happening, you know. But you know, after that, it's just pure joy, man. It's what you couldn't ask for any blessing in 2019, man. Any bigger blessing in 2019 than that.
And so, what was it like bringing the news to your family? Because you told Master Networks, which is a networking group in Uptown Dallas chapter. That's the chapter that we go to. There's different chapters around Texas and all over the United States. But you told Master Networks your chapter pretty soon into it, right? Or how?
I did probably about 4 months, somewhere around that time frame.
So you told us, but what was it like telling your family too?
Most of my family, well, my immediate family could not believe it. I don't know why, but oh my God, Deon is having a kid, especially my mom. Deon is having a kid. My sister, oh my God, my brother is having a kid. I can't believe it. You know, we waited until Thanksgiving to actually tell her family, because she has a bigger family, and neither did I want all the calls congratulating us at so many times. We just waited till we went down there for Thanksgiving, and we wore the shirts. You know, I put a turkey in her oven, and she had the shirt that says, "There's a turkey bacon in my oven," and they realized it from there.
That's a pretty good story. So when it comes to adding an additional family member to your immediate family, I feel like owning a business is kind of, you're married to that business, so it's already another family member.
That's like that's one of your children right there.
Yeah.
That you have to rear up.
So not only do you own your life coaching business, you have a baby in the oven, and you're getting a new baby, your mobile billboards. What? Okay, what was going on in your mind? How are you planning on dealing with all of that?
So, I do coaching because I absolutely love it, man. I could do coaching for free if I had to, if it just came down to that. Because again, that's true passion, that's true fulfillment, man. There's nothing better than seeing, like, knowing that I played a small part in helping someone elevate their life, man. That truly brings me so much just satisfaction, man. And it's my escape. It's literally my escape. So when I'm running when I'm running Premier Mobile Billboards, obviously I'm going to be taking on less clients than I do now because I'm going to be focused more on that. But just to get away from that, and talk to someone else about what they're going through and just maybe share some of the struggles that I'm facing or
Mhm.
have faced, whether it's life or business. Because again, I also do some business coaching as well. Life, it's with business coaching, one may think that you're actually targeting business, but more you're actually targeting the individual's lifestyle to actually help the business.
Mhm.
It's a reflection. So yeah, it's going to be a great escape for me that I think to actually just pour back into someone who's going through a time in their life who needs help, or someone who's actually starting a business or running a business of their own.
What was going on in your mind when you're thinking of doing life coaching? Well, you're doing life coaching, and then all of a sudden, mobile billboards come along, and you're just like, okay, I'm just gonna do this, just randomly, hey, let's try it out, or what's going on?
I don't consider my life coaching business or an actual business. Again,
Mm.
that's purpose, man. That's passion. That's fulfillment.
It's kind of like a recharge, right?
Exactly. That's something I'm supposed to be doing. That's not even necessarily a quote unquote business. Obviously, it is. It's a legal entity and all of that. But I don't look at it that way, man. Uh, I'm a business minded person. I'm an entrepreneur, and I have to have something in front of me, going to work for me, and that's an actual business
Mm-hmm.
as I see it. And so that's why the mobile billboard business came about.
Okay. Well, so tell me, what was it about the mobile billboard business that attracted you?
Just being an entrepreneur, always looking for ways to solve problems, looking for ways to innovate, looking for ways to jump ahead of the curve. And that's how it came about, man. Just knowing that, hey, I was looking to start a new business after transitioning out of the moving company. Like, hey, what is going to be my next business? And just being very cognizant and mindful on, okay, what is my next move going to be? And just looking at the landscape, and one day I was driving through Deep Ellum one late night. And if you've ever been through Deep Ellum around this time, 2018, 2019, it's a different area at nighttime than it was a couple years ago that I heard.
Mm-hmm.
And man, it was so many millennials and Gen Zs just in that tight knit community. I said, man, like this is a nice area. Like it's a very vibrant, it's a very growing area, man. At night, obviously, just not at night, but days as well. And later on, I was speaking with a cousin, and I brought up the mobile billboard business because I had already read an article about it probably about 6 months ago. I read an article about three gentlemen who had already started their business and who were doing fairly successful, fairly well at it. So seeing what I saw at Deep Ellum only connected the dots to that. And after talking to my cousin and just giving him some feedback and giving him some justification on why it's a great viable business, man, I started to do more research from there. And I said, you know what? I went to my quote unquote uh, prayer closet, and I quote unquote prayed on it, man. And God, he connected the dots to me. He told me, hey, this is what you should be doing. And I didn't delay, man. I said, I'm going to go with it. And that's what I did.
How do you kind of trust your gut feeling when it comes to things like these?
That's something, again, that's something that only that individual can feel. That's a connection between you and your higher calling, you and God, you and your inner self, you and your gut, your instincts. I can't, I can't, I can't explain it for someone else. I can only just show you how it comes about for me. And again, I'm big on soul searching. I'm big on like meditation. So like being one with myself and just knowing when something is quote unquote speaking to me.
Mm-hmm.
And in this case, it was and then right after I got divine confirmation that it was. Then after that, I got another divine, confirmation, and from that point, I just knew.
Mm-hmm. So you're starting it up. What does that whole journey look like from beginning to end for your business? How are you planning on dealing with it?
Man, so originally I wanted to actually either I wanted to buy a business that was already, that already had a foundation, because starting a business, man, it's tough. It's very strenuous. It's a process, man, and I really didn't want to go through that again at that point. But nothing was sticking. Along with having owned a moving company and knowing how hard it is to advertise and break through just so much clutter that's out there right now. That's another thing that drove me to that appealed my interest to mobile billboards. But man, it's just like any other business, man. You start by building the infrastructure, man. You start by, dotting your I's, crossing your T's, building a solid foundation, man. Just like any other business, taking it one day at a time, getting your systems, getting your processes in place, man, and going from there.
So you mentioned like the process and the systems, even just how people approach you. Something that I'm really big on is branding, and part of branding is developing kind of like that gut feeling for customers. Just like you had a gut feeling that you knew that this business was going to be right for you, well, customers have to have that gut feeling to realize that you're going to be the business to help them out. So I want to know how much you've thought about this. What are you trying to do to provide that good gut feeling for customers?
You mentioned earlier, you talked about community, man. This is not only just for obviously my benefit, but the community benefit, because we can do so much to help the community. We can do so much to educate the community with these trucks. So I think just giving back to the community, offering discounts to government entities, nonprofits, that way that they can spread their message, they can help their people, they can put on events and utilize the truck, man. I think it's going to be a drawer, so to speak, for my customers.
Mm-hmm. So how does your new company, how's that going to help customers in the first place?
So, man, as I mentioned, we live in a day and age where we're so distracted with advertisements, distractions with everything from living in a microwave generation and just wanting things right now. You get on your mobile device and everything is moving so fast. Technology itself is moving fast. With mobile billboards, it's almost impossible to miss them.
Mm-hmm.
And well, mobile digital billboards at that, because again, they're bright, they're vibrant. Obviously, we can play audio, so it's very hard to miss a big TV box driving down the road or sitting in a parking lot.
Yeah.
There's some interesting things that's going on in the out of home space. In the out of home space, marketing space, it's any advertisement that you see outside of your home.
Mm-hmm.
Traditional billboards, mobile billboards, TV screens that you see at the gas station, advertising screens that you may see at the mall, bit like a bench signage when you're waiting for the bus. Any type of visual that you see out of home is considered out of home marketing, out of home advertising.
Okay. So let's say someone's interested in buying a billboard. Is it like a weekly type deal? Is it a monthly? What? So let's just go from beginning to end. So they come to you and they ask about your services. What does that look like to doing business with you to ending the whole process? I want to hear about your process.
Yeah, certainly, man. So we're gonna look at their marketing. What have they been doing? What's been working? What's not been working? Because again, we want to design a obviously a package and a route that's going to be very, and that's one of the biggest advantages of mobile billboards. We get to target your target audience like no other.
Mm-hmm.
If your target audience is millennials, and millennials are in college campuses right now, we can be on college campuses. So there's no other form of advertisement that can get close to the close to a target market the way that mobile billboards can. But yeah, so we will look at their current marketing strategies, seeing what's working, seeing what's not working, and we're going to tag along to that. We're going to be another puzzle piece. So we're not necessarily saying that, hey, we want you to make us your go with us 100%. Just use us 100% for your marketing. Whatever's working for you, we want to keep that, but we want to add another additional piece that's only going to that's going to give you more exposure. We want to light a fire under what's already working for you. If it's not working for you, we want to see what things can we implement in terms of, is your target market hanging out at events, or are they big at a certain area on their lunch break? We want to design a route or a place that we can be at when your target market is at the same time.
So you're adding some strategy in there.
Oh yeah, certainly. We're not just driving a truck around the city and hoping that uh, someone sees us. It's very strategic. It's a very methodical approach.
I definitely respect strategy, that's for sure.
Oh yeah.
So just to kind of put into perspective, you have a kid on the way. You own two businesses, one that you're very passionate about, one that you're also passionate about, but it's you look at it as a business. And you kind of have sort of this uphill battle of, this is a new business, like this is an emerging industry. So that takes a lot of dedication, which is kind of how I wanted to lead into, you have to be a very dedicated person, especially to try and get the Guinness World Record. So I kind of wanted to talk about that, being dedicated, and just the fact that you have to be dedicated enough to do one push-up, clapping push-up, because I can't even do that. I need to work out. But how much do you have to work out in order to even attempt a world record like that?
So the reason behind attempting this record in the first place was when I was playing college football at the University of Louisiana Lafayette. Our college strength and condition coach, he told me one day, he's like, hey, you have pretty upper body, you have good upper body strength. You could break the Guinness World Record for pull-ups if you train for it. Keep in mind, this was 7 years ago. I was totally focused on football at the time. It went in one ear and out the other. But it never died. That seed that he planted never died. I was maybe getting out of a workout one day, and I was doing push-ups, and I said, you know what? I've always been naturally good at push-ups. Let me check the Guinness World Record for the number of push-ups. And they don't have a Guinness World Record for the number of push-ups in a minute, but it is one for the number of clapping push-ups in a minute. So you know what? I can do that. So from that point on, man, I just, when I have something in front of me, I'm gonna do it. Like if I say I'm gonna do something, you can pretty much take it to the bank, man. That's always been my approach from day one. It goes back to my why. Above anything else, it's living on purpose. It's living with a passion to know that whenever I take my last breath, I know that I've lived a life of fulfillment, a life of purpose, and a life of no regrets. And just attempting the Guinness World Record when I know I have a great shot at doing that, that's fulfillment to me. That's living on purpose.
You were one clapping push-up off from tying with the world record, right?
Yes.
How did you feel about that? Even getting to that point was probably pretty impressive.
It was, I had been training approximately about 10 months for it. And I had gotten to a point where, with them, you have to register, you have to submit your application probably about a month or two prior, because it takes them a while to actually get to your application. So I had set it for November the 14th, which was the Guinness World Record Day. I said, so by then, I got to be ready for it. And about a week or two before, I was teetering around the night before, or not the night before, a couple of days before, I was around about 78 push-ups. And I was kind of pissed off at myself, because prior to that, I had counted about 90. I had done actually 90 push-ups. But for some reason, leading up to it, it had went down drastically to about 78, 80 push-ups. And I couldn't understand why. But just I put it in my mind that, hey, you know what? I'm about to go in. I'm about to give it my all. And as you stated, I came unofficially one shy of the official record of 90. But I would have still have to have done about 95, because again, that is submitted to Guinness World Records. They have to review every push-ups, and if you're not in alignment to their criteria, they can ding one and disqualify you for one. So, so I wasn't too, to answer your question, I wasn't too upset. I was more proud of myself that, I came that close. Mm-hmm. And, again, the journey isn't over. I'm still going to attempt it again here in about another month. So definitely be on the lookout for that.
Good. So this has been the Business Brand Podcast. If you enjoyed the podcast, thank you guys for tuning in. Deon, do you want to give kind of a plug on where we can find you on the internet?
Certainly, man. On Facebook, Deon Fowler. You can go to my website, deonfowler.com. That's the coaching website. Or you can find me on Facebook at Coaching and Consulting with Deon, or visit my Premier Mobile Billboard website at premiermobilebillboards.com, or on Facebook, Premier Mobile Billboards, as well as Instagram and LinkedIn.
All right. And I'm Brandon Truesdell with Be True Media. You can find our website at betruemedia.com, or go to our Facebook page at Be True Media, or go to our YouTube channel at Be True Media. All right. Thank you guys for watching, and we'll see you guys on the other side of the camera.